Hi, I'm Debbie Harbeck, and I'm a certified life coach working with women in midlife and through the menopause transition. So each week, I'll be sharing the latest information, inspiration, and generate some momentum so you can move forward and feel more in control of your changing midlife body and your life. Let's go. Hi, and welcome to the Midlife Momentum Podcast and to this very last episode of 2023. So I was just reflecting on 2023, and when I do that, I look back and I think of what has gone great and maybe what has not gone so great. And then what do I want to change going into 2024? So when I look back on 2023, what went great this year for me was starting this podcast. And I just want to thank you all who've been listening, who've been tuning into the different episodes I've done. Thank you so much for listening, for supporting. And also thanks to my guests who have been on the podcast so far. I've had the pleasure of interviewing many different women and learning so many different things from them. So it's just really been a labor of love so far. So I'm really looking forward to moving that into 2024 and enjoying it every single week as I've been doing. So there's that. And I also today in this podcast actually want to talk to you about reinvention. So that's really the topic today. It's a topic that sounds kind of big, like I'm reinventing myself. And sometimes we might think that that might be a very big process, but I just see it as a conscious process about changing something about who you are. And it doesn't just happen because your circumstances change. Reinvention doesn't happen because a relationship changed or you changed jobs or you lost weight. Those are just circumstances. What changes is you. How did you change as a person? And that is the reinvention. It can be as simple as just changing a belief or an ideal or something very, very simple, like a habit of some sort where all of a sudden I'm drinking water all the time. And that's just changed a whole bunch of things for me. So it can be very simple. In the last couple of weeks, I've sent out some emails to my audience about 3 of my clients who have reinvented themselves essentially over this past year and some over a longer period of time that I've been working with them. And they've done some pretty amazing things, starting with a small belief that they wanted to change. But the actual real first step of reinvention, what I believe it is, it's letting go. So it's being ready, willing, and able to let go of something that's holding you back or that you feel is holding you back. An analogy for this I think about is several years ago, I was training for a Spartan race with a friend of mine. So if you don't know what Spartan is, it's an obstacle course. It's a kind of a crazy obstacle course, and you're going up and down a mountain, at least it was in my case, and over different obstacles. And there was a lot of training involved to get us into the shape we needed to be to do that, because I think it was about 13 kilometers, the race that we did. So it took a lot of strength, a lot of energy. We had to learn about these different obstacles. And one of the obstacles that I was expecting that we knew would be there was the monkey bars. Those bars that you swing from bar to bar to bar to the end. And something that we do when we're kids, but as adults, I hadn't done that for years, decades even. So I had to learn how to do that. And to learn how to swing on the monkey bars, the scariest part is letting go of the one that's behind you so you can then swing that arm to one that's in front of you. That letting go is the hardest part. And you have to really be willing to let that go to be able to move forward on the bars. And it's the same thing in this reinvention process. You first have to be willing to let go of what's behind you, the thing that's keeping you stuck, or else you won't be able to reach what's out in front of you. And that just takes a lot of courage. And it means sometimes you're going to fall. And as I did when I was doing the monkey bars, I'd fall. I'd, fall to the ground and start again and pick myself up. And I had calluses all on my hands when I was doing this because it took a lot of strength. It took a lot of practice. It took a lot of perseverance. And that's what reinvention is too. you're going to fall down. You're going to get dirty. You're going to have maybe calluses on your hands, but you're going to be able to get through it if you keep trying and trying and trying. But first, you need to identify, what is it that I need to let go of? So when I was working with these 3 clients that I was mentioning, they had to let go of several things in order to be able to get to where they were going. They had to let go of relationships that weren't working for them. They had to let go of long hours as a badge of honor at work. They had to let go of resentment. They had to let go of thinking their son was still a little boy, even though he's 17 years old and more of a man. So they had to let go of a lot of different things in order to be able to make the journey forward. For you, if you're going to take this conscious process of reinvention on, and this is really the time of year that we think about reinventing ourselves, we think of making these changes, the first thing to think about is, what do I need to let go of? And what am I ready, willing, and able to let go of? The next thing you need to do is decide what you do want. What's ahead of you? What are you swinging along the monkey bars to go grab? And I know I ask this question to a lot of women every day when I speak to them as a client or in a consult call. And I ask, what do you want? And it's just 4 simple words, but it's so wide open. I think it overwhelms us. And so I hear things a lot like, oh, well, I just want to feel better. Or, oh, I just want to be happy. That one I hear the most, I have to say. And it's because I think this question is so wide open, we just don't know what we truly want. And another reason I think we don't really know is because sometimes we feel stuck in this routine of our lives. And as we've gotten older, we've gotten used to a certain lifestyle and a way of being, and we've stopped. And maybe we've even become afraid of dreaming that anything else could be possible. It's like we get into this belief that right now, what we're seeing is just reality. Oh, that's just reality. I can't do anything about that. But we have to question our reality because we actually created it. When we were young, people asked us all the time, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And we searched and we became who we are. We started down a path. And maybe we've not deviated from that path since way back then, because nobody asks us, what do you want over the age of 25? It's very rare that you get that question unless you ask it to yourself, which I'm encouraging you to do. And yet 25 years old is far from the end of your life. You have so many years ahead of you. If you live to 100, imagine you never ask yourself that question again, what do I want? And you can just stay stuck on that course you chose in your 20s. So much can happen when you ask this question. So regularly check in with it. And how you do it is that you have to sit with that question. And I say sit for at least 30 minutes, if you could, 60 minutes, and marinate in that question and not judge whatever shows up in your mind. Really just write down whatever shows up in your mind without judgment, knowing nobody's going to see this list. It's just you. It can be absolutely ridiculous and way out there, but don't censor anything. Just write down anything that comes to your head when you think of that question. What do I want? You don't even know how to make that want happen. That's not your business right now. All you need to do is get down what you think you want. And notice if anything is showing up that is should. Oh, I should want this. I should actually want to eat healthy. But really what I want to do is eat whatever I choose. Well, the real want there is I want to just be able to eat whatever I choose and be healthy, right? So that's the real want. The want of I want to eat healthy all the time is a should. So I hope you can see the difference there. Really focus on what you want and just keep writing them down as they come to you, and just let your mind go. And then decide, out of all these ideas you've written down, are there 3, 5, maybe 10, maybe that's too many, where you want to go that feel like, oh yeah, this is something I really want for myself. And decide what the feelings are. So now that you've decided what you want, the next step is to think about how you want to feel. Because a lot of the times we choose the things we want because we want to feel a certain way. So if you're reinventing yourself or changing something, it's because you want to feel better in some way. Maybe you want to feel healthier or more in control, or maybe you want to be more attractive or less overwhelmed. And so this is the third step in reinventing yourself, would be knowing how you want to feel, or at least finding the opposite of what you don't want to feel. And just pick like 3 to 5 feelings. When you really know how you want to feel, you can more easily choose your top wants, because those will lead to those feelings. You can even use these feelings as your words of the year. And this is what I've done. Each year I try to choose at least one word that sums up how I want to feel or be in the year ahead. So right now is a really good time to do that, obviously. Last year at this time, I picked the word open. Open meaning I wanted to be open to new experiences, to trying new things like this podcast, to new opportunities, and just keep an open mind. So I put it as my desktop wallpaper, and I put it in different places in my house just to remind me that open is how I want to be this year. Now for 2024, I've got 2 words. I've got brave and I've got adventurous, and they kind of go together, to be honest, but I want to do things this coming year that challenge my bravery, that allow me to make a brave choice. I also want to have more adventures. I want to get out of the house more and out of my comfort zone more, which will be more adventurous and brave. So what are your words? I have clients that have chosen words this year like empowered, sexy, another really good one, strong. And just have a think about what they are for you, and maybe before the end of the year. So right now we are the 27th of December. You've got a few days to come up with some great words for yourself, and then just post them on your desktop or your fridge or in your car, and remind yourself of who you are becoming. Now, I've shared this beginning of this reinvention process with you to know what you want to let go of, know what you want, and know how you want to feel. These are sort of the first 3 steps, I would say. And of course, there are more steps, a few more, but those steps require actually doing the things that will then reinforce what you want and how you want to feel. And this whole reinvention process is something I work with women on every day. It's something that is totally my bread and butter. I'm helping women reinvent themselves in midlife. And if this sounds like something you really want to do, then book a call with me and we can definitely talk about these next steps, or send me an email and tell me about what you want to do, because that is what I do as a coach. And it's why I hired my first coach way back in 2011. I wanted to reinvent myself. I was an employee. I wanted to become an entrepreneur. I had to do a lot of work in my own brain before I even started launching a business to go from employee to entrepreneur, because it's definitely a mindset shift before you even start doing anything. So what I'm just proposing to you here is start that process, start that mindset process, knowing what you want to let go of, knowing what you want, and knowing how you want to feel will start to shift that mindset so that you can then go through this reinvention process. And if you choose to have me as your guide, I would totally be honored. But having somebody there to keep you accountable, who can guide you along the way, who can encourage you, I definitely think that's a must. So find someone who can do that for you this year as well. I think that will really change the game. So with that, I want to wish you a very happy and healthy year ahead in 2024. Again, I'm super grateful that you've tuned in today and that maybe you've listened to other episodes and maybe you shared this episode. So I really appreciate that. And please continue to do that. And if you've enjoyed it or you've learned something here, just rate it on Apple or Spotify or whatever platform you're using. Of course, I'm super happy when you do that. And I'll be back next week with a fresh new episode, which means next year in 2024. So keep moving forward, and bye for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Midlife Momentum Podcast. If you want to learn more about working with me, come visit me at DebbieHarbeckCoaching.com. That's Debbie, I-E, Harbeck with a C, coaching.com. See See you next week.